Gun Training with the Non-Aggression Principle, Volume 1. Basic Handgun and Rifle with Jared Waltz.
First rule of being alive is you own yourself.
A groundbreaking approach to firearms and self-defense training. Beautifully filmed and easy to understand instructions make this one a must-have. Gun Training with the Non-Aggression Principle, Volume 1. New DVD from Michael W. Dean, available on Amazon.
Your house is your property.
Horrific. It's just like it's nightmarish.
It has to be the most clear-cut case of murder in all of the, maybe outside of Kelly Thomas.
Kelly Thomas, yeah.
Yes, or at least since, I shouldn't say outside, I should say since Kelly Thomas. It's probably the most clear-cut case of murder from the initial evidence that has been put out so far.
It is slavery, it's just a different name. A lot of people don't realize what it is, and when we bring these ideas to light and make people realize, that this government force is the problem.
And to me, it's like I say, imagine you're an abolitionist in the 19th century, and these slave masters are giving you the same exact argument. Who's going to pick the cotton?
Hey, Seeds of Liberty. Read the show's description, please. Fervently complete the course. Report him to the infantry. Finish him. Deconstruct the fallacy. Seasonal production means it seems to spawn a tragedy. Peep the action, please. A fraction of the allegory. Corollary cadences complaining on a sadder story. Menial. Recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing. Yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too. Menial. Recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seeds of Liberty podcast. This is episode 67. This is also going to be our first attempt to use Fiend Phone because Danilo's not here, so we get to play. Ha ha ha. As always, the Seeds of Liberty podcast is covered by the got no government license. This allows reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So, as I said, we are down at Danilo again this week, but that means we get to have more fun. And we are joined by one of my favorite people, one of my co-hosts on the Freedom Fiends, Miss Dianna Keiler. Hi, Dianna.
Hey,
how are you?
I'm a laughing kitty. Meow.
Yes,
She's my favorite meower on the Feens.
I'm doing better now. All day long. I was feeling pretty sad. I worked all day, and I got accused of having resting sad face instead of resting bitch face, which I guess is better.
Yeah, I have the resting bitch face, so
Yeah.
I guess the sad face would be an improvement.
I try to do the neutral face, like neutral, because you avoid wrinkles that way.
I just think last night was just so humanizing for a lot of people. I think that it wrecked a lot of people to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I think you're kind of burying the lead here, Dave, because not everybody listens to us the day after. What Dave is referring to is what we're going to talk about tonight. I was going to wait to get into that, but okay. There's
my bad.
There's quite a few shootings. Well, flat out murders. It appears by the police again. And it's really kind of affected all of us in not so good ways. I kind of think you're desensitized, unfortunately, at a certain point, but apparently not, because it got my blood going this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just rethinking it right now it's so infuriating.
I before we get into the sad stuff, Dave, I did want to let Dianna get a chance to introduce herself to our audience, since I'm not sure. I don't think all of our fans listen to the Fiends. All you guys should be. Gosh darn it, I'm on there quite often. And,
I catch everyone I can.
If you spend the time to listen to our show, then heck, you should be listening to that show too, because it comes on more often and it's often funnier. No offense, Dave. We're not funny together all the time. Sometimes we are.
But
we don't.
I can't always bring the funny, I try when I can.
Well, no, because we normally have guests, and we don't do that on the Fiends for good reason, because it always goes horribly wrong.
Not always. No, when we had James Weeks on, that was good.
The James, the James one was good. The one before that that I was in charge of was absolutely horrible.
James was on our show, and he was fun, man. We had a lot of fun.
That show was fun. That show was a lot of fun.
He's a jovial guy.
Yeah, he is.
Well, how did I refer to it? His laugh is infectious. Like, you can't, I don't know how you can be around, like, you can talk to James and get him going and not be laughing too, just because of the way he laughs. And
yeah. Reminds me of my dad. My dad has the same kind of laugh. If he starts laughing, everybody starts laughing because he starts laughing. He can't stop,
All right. But
that's awesome.
Now we're burying the lead again. So, Dianna.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about yourselves? Hi, Dianna. Welcome.
Hi. My name is Dianna. I'm former statist. Once upon a time. It seems like so long ago. Oh, my goodness. I'm one of the Freedom Feens, as Jeremy said. I'm on there about once a week. I really enjoy it. I mean, I really think that honestly, not to sound like a brown nose or anything, but, I don't know. Michael did take a chance on me because, oh my God, ABBA is in my head now. Take a chance, take a chance, take a chance. Okay.
That was before my time. I missed it. I missed the joke completely. I'm sorry.
You laughed. You laughed.
I didn't want to feel left out. I folded to peer pressure.
Okay, so but yeah, a couple of years ago, I started on the Freedom Feens, and it was when Michael Dean first started doing shows without Nima, and he called it at the time. It was Michael Dean After Dark. And that, that kind of, morphed back into the Freedom Feens kind of thing where it was like, every night and, most nights of the week. But yeah, I was really pretty newly minted at the time. I mean, I was one of those kind of typical people that had, kind of always known that there was something wrong, with the country and with the government and everything, and just really didn't know what else to do but vote and obey the law and no matter how stupid it was, and well, not always, obviously, I've always been a speeder and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I was necessarily typical because I always questioned.
Hold on. I'm from Alabama. A speeder means something different down here.
Oh, okay. I can imagine. Yeah. I'm sure it probably means something different here in Colorado Springs, too.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I always knew there was something wrong, and I always sort of balked at authority. I always thought that following stupid rules was stupid. And I, sort of intuitively knew which rules and laws were sort of stupid, that, nobody is being harmed if these laws or rules are broken. So why are we following them, blindly kind of thing. So I was always the one to question why. And I had, I was never, I was not one of the Ron Paul, kids or whatever. And at the time I was raising a kid and I was married. And so my focus was way more on just kind of doing that and not really paying that much attention to stuff going on like I do now. And, I would see it and I would worry about it and I would say, well, I just don't have the time and energy to do that. But then, once the changes happened in my life that my daughter was grown and I divorced and, I got way more aware and I got woken up and I was introduced to really more like I guess libertarianism in a way, but it didn't take me very long, probably a month at most before I was full on anarchist, and I've just been learning a lot ever since then. Yeah. And within probably a month or two of that, I was listening to the Freedom Feens. I started listening to that and started emailing Michael. And just from our emails, Michael said, hey, would you ever consider being, a substitute co-host sometime, And I'm like, what? No way, and and I said, sure. And I sent him a sample of my voice and everything. And next thing you know, I'm kind of a regular, fairly regular co-host. I mean, I've taken a couple of breaks over the course of my tenure there. I've really enjoyed it. And I just, somebody posted on Facebook today, something about, former, quote unquote, former anarchists basically sticking their head back in the sand kind of thing, and going back to how they once were, living life according to the status quo, and voting and believing in the goodness of our leaders kind of thing. And I'm like, how do you do that? It's like Cypher on the Matrix. Like I can't see myself ever doing that. And as painful as it is sometimes, in particular in times like these, I know that I could never go back to that. And when it's like, yeah, I'm out of the Matrix and can't go back. So,
yeah. I mean, Cypher wanted to go back to the Matrix because of fear.
Well, fear and creature comforts that he didn't have outside of the Matrix. He wanted a good steak.
Well, he was like, well, if I'm going to die and the only thing I can control is being in the Matrix or not, I'll go be in the Matrix and be a king.
Yeah, right. I don't know. See, I always kind of looked at it, the Cypher storyline there is, and I equate it to these people that you're referencing. The so-called former anarchists.
I don't get that.
That's actually what I was going to say. They don't get it either. I don't think they actually ever got it. Like that's always been so. That's how I always kind of viewed Cypher, at least since I rewatched the movie after becoming an anarchist, and I kind of looked at it from that perspective. It wasn't a matter of him seeing the other side and then going, oh, you know what? It sounds good, but no. It was a matter of he never really appreciated the other side. And I think that's what a lot of those people do. I mean, I've always said that about autism Peterstain and the fact that, or plagiaristain or plagiarism or whatever you want to call them.
They still have reservations. They're not like they're not fully into it. They're not, it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is that they still just have reservations about it. About like no government, no ruler, oh my God, what will that look like? Oh my, and it freaks them out.
Yeah. It takes a while to work it out in your head for sure. It does.
Yeah. And it did me too. And I'm still working it out, and that's fine. I know that the system of government as we've seen thus far throughout history does not work. No system of government works.
Yeah, there's been plenty of failings to pick from. Yeah, I guess some of them have maybe reservations that they hold on to, but like I said, I don't even think some of them actually really understood it at all, much less like got it and then said, oh, but maybe no. I think people like Peterson, for example, he's one who claims, oh, I was an ANCAP, but then I thought about it again. No, you didn't actually understand it the first time. That's the problem.
You can't take the red pill and go, yeah, I took the red pill and was like, nah. It just doesn't work that way. You can't, like I said in I think episode 1 or 2 of this podcast, I said it's like jumping in a bottomless pit and slamming the door behind you. You either are lying to yourself about being an anarchist, or you still don't understand anarchism. It's that simple.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah,
definitely.
They never fully understood, and because of never fully understanding, that's why they had reservations.
Well, definitely. I mean, at least based on, people like him, other people I've run into too that make the same claims. When you get into discussions with them and you see the so-called arguments they present as to why they've now changed their mind. Well, they're never, I mean, heck, I went round and round with Peterson for a long time, and it was all of his arguments, which now his little disciples, who I've also had run-ins with over and over again, use the same exact non-arguments because it's all fallacious BS. There's nothing all of their criticisms are.
Yeah, there was one that Austin says a lot that really it always drives me nuts. He says if there wasn't essentially socialist courts, that the lawyer and all that, it would all be paid by the same corporation and it would just be a racket. And I'm like, do you not completely understand that you just proved that a corporation, when it's given a monopoly, will do exactly what you just said? Once you realize that government is a corporation
and a monopoly,
and that claims to have a monopoly on force, that tricks you through the state, which is superstition. I mean, it all becomes very clear what the state is, what the government is, and everything is.
Well, yeah, and that's true, but that also shows an extreme ignorance of history, because the common law courts of England are actually the prototype for a lot of the ideas that have come from, you know, some of the more predominant thinkers in the anarchist and libertarian movements over the centuries. You know, like that's where that's where stuff like that is built from, because they had stuff like that where you had competing courts, and even if they were all paid by one, you know, if somebody was paying for everything, there was still competition. So if one of them becomes corrupt, they start losing business. Then they can't afford to do the things they were doing anymore. Like, and that worked for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So that's just like a very big contradiction that he doesn't. Ignorance. He's you know, sitting here saying that he's not contradicting himself, and he clearly is. Well, especially with the whole law thing.
But that's a common mistake by most people who argue against anarchism without really understanding it or any of the, you know, the philosophies.
It's the purge, don't you know?
Of course.
Oh my God! I've had like 3 like just let's just call them normies or statists. I've had 3 statist friends that have been like,
the normie the other
"Have
night,
you seen the?" Even I see that it's bullshit propaganda, and I'm like, I'm glad you can see it.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Well, you know, but what I was saying is that's just the way people are built. You know, they reject it, but they don't.
I'd say
they don't really know why they're rejecting it. Yeah, because it's fear. Because they're spouting off all these. They're either ignoring their own contradictions, or they're basing all of their criticisms on misinformation or outright lies. So they're either
straw man arguments.
Well, exactly. They're either accidentally falling into straw men, or they're straight out being sophists. Either case, it's not, you know, the result's the same as far as I'm concerned. So I don't really care whether it's, you know, design or happenstance. Damn it, stop it.
Yeah. I just don't understand how he hasn't self-examined these contradictions yet. I just still, like, it's obviously, to me at this point, a sign of just willful ignorance.
I think I'm not even focusing so much on him, but it's just in general, I can make this generalization because I run into it all the time. There is a lot of willful ignorance out there.
Yeah. There's willful, and there's also, I mean, I agree with it that it's willful, but I also think it's definitely unconscious to a degree, and it's based on fear, like we've been saying. Mm-hmm. You know, that the fear kind of overtakes them, and it's just like they sort of go on autopilot, you know, back to their original like line of thinking kind of thing. You know, or like, I mean, one way I like to look at it is like being in a rut. You know, it's like it's hard to get out of a rut, you know, and you get out of that rut, and the inclination is to kind of fall back into it, you know, and at least until you have fully educated yourself to this new line of thinking, and then, you know, and I mean,
maybe it's a point of hopelessness. Maybe it's like, well, it's hopeless because they look at it as still as borders on the globe, and it's just they don't see it for what it's. They don't see the Matrix. They get there, they think they took the pill, but they spit the pill out. That's what happened to Austin Peterson. He was like, man, I took the pill, but it was in the back of his mouth, and when everyone was turned, he spit it out.
You know what? I'm going to cuss. I keep forgetting I'm not on the radio. Yeah. Fuck Austin Peterson.
There you go.
You know, I got to see Jeffrey Tucker speak once, and he said the first thing that should be privatized would be the courts, the police, and the arbitration. Or, I mean, the courts, the police, and the military. That should be the first 3 things that should be privatized, because if the state has that, if the people they claim to be government have that, then they have everything. They can force everything else on you.
Right.
Well, yeah, and people like Peterson and the like are the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Because they get stuck at the night watchman state, and they want the government to do only those things.
Yeah, I read a great
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say I read a great article today on Mises, Abolish the FBI.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to read that yet.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah,
it's Ryan McMaken. I actually used to narrate articles for Mises a while back.
Yes, I remember you telling me that.
It was a little bit of a headache, but I mean, I enjoyed the actual narration, but the editing I hated.
See, I've been wanting to do audiobooks, but in like character voices. I can do a lot of different impressions.
Right. But yeah, this article talks about. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No.
I
Sorry,
don't want to
brother.
lose my train of thought with this. But
never apologize for that.
It's just basically about how the FBI got started, and they started essentially to undermine the private kind of investigation agencies that there were. The Pinkerton being probably the most famous. And it was because that the idea of there being like a police type agency, in private hands was, they felt that was, obviously the government felt that was more serving of profiteering as opposed to serving, the public interest kind of thing. It was just very insidious. The FBI pretty much got its start by arresting anti-war demonstrators during World War I. Mm-hmm. And this article is awesome. It just really highlights the fact that that any of these agencies, police agencies, investigation agencies, being run by government, are the enemy of the people.
Oh, and they get so immediately self-interested and then self-invested, where they only care, I only care about my alphabet agency.
All those, they all started off with supposedly good intentions, but usually was never the case. Wasn't the CIA the same way, right? It started as the OSS.
OSS, not OSI.
Yeah.
What's OSI?
Yeah.
OSS, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but
I learned about that on the X-Files.
My third favorite show.
I actually learned I learned about the OSS from reading some fiction. Maybe Vince Flynn. I had never gone that far back in history until I started reading his books, or at least on some aspects. And then I came across one of his books, and I was like, "What's that?" And I had to go learn about it. But yeah, of course they're always going to be corrupt because there's nobody in the way.
Right. Exactly.
And, it's again, that's just one of those blatant contradictions that most people miss because they want competition, they want choice in so many other areas, unless they're Bernie supporters, and then they have a real issue with choice, apparently. I don't know. Too many. There's too many choices. But most people like choice. They like having options, and they like it having in every aspect of their life, except the ones that affect them the most directly. Because they don't realize how directly those things are affecting them.
Yeah.
They just, they put it out of their mind.
And kids are raised to believe that these government-run, policing and enforcement agencies are good. They're there to help us and to protect us, and and all of that.
Daddy
most
government
people
will
are
take care of
indoctrinated
it.
from a very early age that don't be afraid of the police. They're there to help you. Yeah, nothing could be further from the truth.
Well, yeah, that's the way it is for most kids, I imagine, or at least, I remember friends of mine who were younger when we were younger, and their parents told them that. I was told it too, but it was added. There was added to it because, my grandfather was a cop, my great uncle was a cop, so it wasn't just the police in general were good. It was the police were good, and look, your family were the police too, so they're good people. And,
oh yeah.
who all that stranger danger, like what, like that, like, you remember back in the day with that stuff? Yeah. Who were you supposed to run to? Who were you supposed to tell? If you were in school, it was the teacher, but if you were out in public, you were supposed to look for a police officer first. And then it was another adult to, like, maybe a shop owner or something. But you were taught in those situations, you're supposed to scout around and look for a police officer. That's who you're supposed to, if you can, that's who you're supposed to run to first. No questions asked.
Well, if you're white, anyway.
Well, yeah.
I would imagine that, I don't know, I would imagine that most black kids, at least the ones that I kind of grew up with or whatever, they probably weren't necessarly taught that the police were safe.
Absolutely. Especially depending on where you grew up. Anybody, probably most black children growing up in the South or in all of the major cities were all told the same thing.
I'll tell you how it is down here. It goes, don't look at the police, don't talk to the police, and if you see the police, you just do what they tell you, or they will shoot you.
Yeah.
That's what they tell them. They don't always listen, but
Philando Castile, his mom, I actually saw, like, I was watching some show earlier. I don't even know what it was, but she was being interviewed, and, she's like, we teach our children, we teach them to comply with the police. We teach our children to obey. And she's like, my son complied with this police officer, and he was still killed. I mean, it's like, if you're not afraid, and I don't care, what your ethnicity is, it's like, I mean, everyone should be afraid of that. Everyone should, I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They should, not necessarily be afraid, but, definitely full on question, your faith in, our good police kind of thing. Oh, God.
Me and my brother were talking earlier about this subject, about these shootings. And we was like, I guess what black people should do in this country as a protest, is just whenever they get pulled over or whenever they have an interaction with a cop or whatever, just go ahead and lay on the ground, put your hands behind your back, and don't say a word to them until they leave or they arrest you. Because what are they going to arrest you for? For laying down silently? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, I don't know what else do they want. Do they want what do they want? Just complete submission?
Apparently,
yeah.
That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about of the shootings, I mean, the first one Dianna mentioned was the Philando Castile one, which is
horrific. It's just like it's nightmarish.
It has to be the most clear-cut case of murder in all of the maybe outside of Kelly Thomas.
Kelly Thomas, yeah.
Yes, or at least since I shouldn't say outside. I should say since Kelly Thomas. It's probably the most clear-cut case of murder from the initial evidence that has been put out so far.
Yeah, and there's a video.
And there's still so many apologists running around.
I know.
We don't have the full
We don't have all
yet.
The facts.
Jesus
oh my God,
Christ.
really?
The video starts with the guy bleeding and writhing in pain, and the cop still holding the gun on him,
screaming, "Fuck!
There
Fuck!
is a
Fuck!
4-year-old child. Yes, and there was a 4-year-old child in the back. He fired that gun into the fucking car, and there was a goddamn fucking child in the back seat.
Oh God,
man, that guy should get shot by a firing squad, and I don't care if anybody hears or he should go down. If he doesn't, some shit better go down, because that's just capital murder on Facebook. Capital murder.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, you don't see the shots, but yes, that's basically what that was the aftermath and the final minutes of the and it was and for the love of fucking God, not only did that asshole shoot into the fucking car when that kid was in there, then they dragged the poor girlfriend out.
Yeah.
And threw her down and made her get down on her knees and cuffed her and fucking, we just have to hold you here till we sort all this out. All this out!
Oh
Your
my God.
fucking colleague just shot somebody for no fucking reason. And we're going to sort this out? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Cover this up is kind of what that sounded like to me.
Exactly. And they were comforting the cop that shot the guy before they even paid any attention whatsoever to how he was doing and what his health was at that time. They were comforting him.
And you could hear him screaming and yelling in the background. You could hear the cop screaming and yelling in the background because he realized how bad he screwed up.
Wow.
This guy's gonna be on TV one day, sitting there crying on the stand, saying, "I wished I could take this back. This was an accident. I messed up." And no, he should fucking go to jail, because if anybody else did the same fucking shit, they would go to jail, and they would either
any civilian. Yep.
And with Hillary Clinton basically skating on all this shit, and if these cops, these last two shootings, if they skate, ooh, things are different these days. Local news stories are now international news, and
they should be, absolutely should be.
Well, yeah, but the unfortunately, the problem is going to be, these things, people are going to be really pissed off, and then it's going to be
whitewashed. It's going to, and it's going to be whitewashed too, of course.
Well, it'll be whitewashed globally as much as it possibly can be, because the last thing the assholes in FedGov want is the rest of the world knowing how much the fucking citizenry is pissed off at the government. They don't want to know it.
No one's seeing what's going on in France right now, and they're having 5 million people riots, pure riots.
Oh yeah, but exactly. Everybody, all the governments around the world are in fucking damage control right now. They are fucking, because there are people all around the world who are not just fed up and want, like there's the one thing with people in Venezuela who are, throwing out the socialists.
They're going hungry.
Socialist. But there are people like Dave. I mean, Dave, you've talked about it before. Our friends down in Brazil, and all the ANCAPs down there, and there's anarchist sects I've come across.
Anarchist sex.
That's a completely different topic, or we could talk about that later.
We'll save that for the later. We'll save that for the very end of the show.
I will try to enunciate.
I'm sorry.
Better.
It's my dirty mind. It's like just takes control. I can't help it.
No need to apologize. But sects around the world that I have come into contact with, and there is growing unrest, and it's not just violently overthrow the government and replace it with another. There's more people out there that are thinking along the lines of say the way the three of us think, where it's we don't want to overthrow the government violently and replace it with a new one. No, we want to convince everybody we don't need the damn thing in the first place.
Right.
So, and there are people, I mean, I've now made friends in at least 15 different countries, and they have their own little communities building, and they're like the French government, they're in freaking damage control. The U.S. government is in constant damage control because they have to have the media constantly in a spin cycle in order for the rest of the world and the majority of the people here to not really recognize what's actually going on. And that's a good thing. I want these fuckers scared.
Yeah.
Because, they've ruled, just the people that have led governments, not these ones in particular, but just the state in general has ruled by fear for centuries. And it's time to fight back. And how do you do that? Well, you fucking strike fear in them. And it's great when the fear could be struck and it's not because of violence.
Man,
when it's
I'll
just
tell you
because
what.
ideas are growing.
Your friend that I've recently become friends with, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
She has her cover photo on Facebook. I love it so much, and it's Percy Shelley that wrote the whole poem. But the very last few lines of it is it goes, "Rise like lions after slumber, an unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep had fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few." Remember that.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. They just don't know it. The people just don't know it. It's like they have this power over them. They have the police power, the state power, everything over them, and not thinking about the fact that, that the people far outnumber these thugs.
Well, you know what happens in like Greece and stuff when these riots, these huge hey, we can't stop this riot. They're like, we're either going to have to kill all these motherfuckers or join them. And it gets to a level to where they just surround all of the riot police or whatever, and they just keep chanting "one of us," and then you see all of them drop their shields, drop all their stuff, take their helmets off, and then they start storming the castle. So it's
right on. Yeah,
liberty can be a bandwagon fallacy. It can ride a bandwagon fallacy.
Well, it's not the fallacy.
It's just it can run a bandwagon.
Well, it's called the bandwagon effect.
Yeah, my bad.
That's something I've been preaching for the longest time.
It can be a fallacy if it goes the wrong direction.
Well, they're two separate things. There's the bandwagon fallacy if your argument is, well, these guys all say it is.
Right.
It's might equals right in ideas.
That's one. Yeah, that's another way of putting it. Sure, but the bandwagon effect is something that I've been preaching for quite a while now. Even more so ever since I came across Ben Stone and his work, and I fell in love with that series he did, the Beyond Civil Disobedience. Mm-hmm. And Ben, if you happen to listen to this, I haven't started your book. I swear I'm going to do that this weekend. He was nice enough to send me a copy of his new book.
Oh, wow.
So psyched to start reading
man.
That.
You're going to have to pass it along when you're done.
Is it on Kindle?
Yes,
good.
Yes.
Okay.
It just
awesome.
I'm psyched to read that. But after listening to that series originally, that got me thinking about not just trying to not even like hoping to do some damage politically and try to get other people convinced other ways, but turning my focus completely to getting people to just walk away from the system and show that it's not, you don't need these numbers, because too many people, I mean, kind of going back to the people we were talking about earlier, the people that could get confused and either think they're anarchists or don't get all the way there, or get hung up somewhere or revert back. The fear sets in because they don't think there's enough people, and they don't think that, oh, it can never happen because there's so few of us. Well, you don't really need that many. And that's when the bandwagon effect sets in, because I've talked about this where, I use the example of the so-called American Revolution, where, originally there was only the whole 3% thing, the 3%ers that still run around. There was a reason for that, because at the beginning, only about 3% of the population was interested in this whole revolution idea. And it wasn't that that small number won everybody over. They didn't even win most of the people over. They just won enough that everybody else started to say, oh, okay, this sounds like a good idea, and kind of went along with it. It had nothing to do with principles per se for most of them. They just got riled up, just like anybody, by the news they were told, and said, oh, well, what can we do? And then they were given an option, and they said, okay. But it wasn't that they sought this option out, because the reality is most people throughout history, and even still today, really do just want to go along to get along.
Right.
And statism itself is evidence of that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
That is why
it's a reinforced indoctrination for sure.
Exactly, because people don't want to rock the boat.
And that totally gets down to the personal level too, because, having, pretty, blatantly stated, at least to my old friends or whatever, that I'm an anarchist now, kind of thing. That was scary to do. That was actually because one of my good friends kind of basically dragged me to the polls to vote for Romney. I mean, I was just like, okay, I guess I reckon I'll go.
I don't want a Mormon theocracy, but all right.
I guess I mean, it's like I guess I'll hold my nose and do it, whatever. But yeah, I mean, that was totally going against the flow, or going against the grain of the existing friendships that I had at the time, and that was pretty scary. It definitely goes against my family.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
So so liberty is it has to start with you as an individual and in your own relationships, kind of thing. Yeah, and it's hard, but it's like like we were talking about earlier, it's like once the truth, it's just you can't go back, no matter what, no matter how scary it is.
Yeah, it's like waking up from a dream.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you can't unsee a lot of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have to either severely impair yourself with drugs and alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Or
well, yeah. I mean, like 1984. That's kind of what they did. So
yeah, that in order to forget about what once you know it, because it's that's going back to those people we were talking about. It's really hard to understand how they could learn this stuff and then still go, it's not worth trying. Are you crazy? If you know anything about not just the fact that government is this oppressive system in the first place, because it's built on, all governments, at least all ones created so far, have all been built on the violation of consent and self-ownership.
Right.
So, if you can look at that and go, that sucks, but, well, no. Why would you not want to fight against that? Yeah, there is no but. There's nothing good can come of that. So why would you not want to strive for anything better? I've come across so many people that'll say,
But I'm horribly terrified of admitting that I've been duped my entire life. Yeah.
Well, that's the crossover thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us have.
Well, no, but I'm saying that's where most people don't want to actually make the jump, because they get held up there at that point.
Admitting that you've been duped and that you've been indoctrinated and brainwashed is very difficult. Yeah,
it's one of the hardest things to do. That's how I used to try to when I would try to talk to people and try to express these ideas to them. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it first, because at first I was horribly angry and yelled at everybody. Didn't go very well.
Oh, not you. No way.
Me,
you're like the most mild-mannered person I've ever met.
Absolutely.
How can you not see this, you illogical idiot?
I am Zen fucking personified, okay?
Jeremy. I don't think so, pal. You're hot
Being
collar.
facetious
You're
over
hot
here.
collar McGee.
That's more Danilo's role. I know that very well. Don't worry. I know my place, Dave.
I just have no respect for anyone who can't troll me better than me. So, that's my problem.
Troll you better than you control yourself?
Yeah. Like, because I'm the ultimate troll to myself. Like, I troll myself more than anything.
I'm talking about over there.
It's hard to follow sometimes. For sure.
Okay. You are hard to follow, but I'll bite. How the fuck do you troll yourself, man?
Well, how do you not troll yourself?
Okay, we're going down nihilism path. Never mind. Forget I asked. We're not going down that route. I thought you actually had an answer for me here. No. How do you?
Like playing devil's advocate with yourself, basically.
Yeah,
right?
all the time for sure. Yeah, I do that for sure.
I don't think that's trolling yourself. I think that's just question. I think that's a
no, like
process,
no, like I just can't. When I say troll, I mean like insulted or whatever, enraged through words or whatever, like trying to derive a response from me in a linguistic manner. It's very hard to do that.
So you call yourself names in your head?
No, like I try to see if I can. I always try to see if I can beat my arguments, or the arguments you have in your head.
Oh.
Again, that sounds like playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, for sure. Like I always try to out devil's advocate myself, for sure.
Okay, so if that's your definition of trolling,
I think trolling is a form of that.
I think it is. I think
it can be.
Consciousness rattling is definitely a form of trolling.
I don't know. I think
Jimmy rustling.
Well, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I think but trolling at its essence is just to fuck with people.
Being a dick.
Well, I don't know.
It can be a tool to be used for quote unquote good. Sure, we do. You and I do it all the time, but I think at its essence, it's just to have fun and be a dick. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that's what I think the essence of trolling is.
Well, okay, all right.
Let's see how deeply immersed.
Maybe I'm talking about
ideology kind of thing.
Maybe it's a self-deprecating thing. Like if they can't pass my level, like everyone has their own like self image or whatever, And so like if someone can't beat how do you have I have a very low self-image, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like it takes it would take a lot for me to go, yeah, you got me there, bud.
No, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
hate it when that happens. When I get called on stuff and I'm like, oh my God, they're right, but I'm so humiliated. Ugh.
I love it. I love being around people that call me out. In fact, I don't like being around people that agree with me.
I agree with you all the time. Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, I have like a couple of friends that are kind of like very supportive type friends, but they don't necessarily call me on my stuff. But then I do have friends, and I have to have friends like that do call me on my shit. I think everybody needs friends like that.
If I can't have a rigorous debate with someone to the point of like yelling at each other, I guess, and then after it go, hey man, you want to hang out? They're not friends with me, really.
Oh wow, okay.
Because normally, like, if you're friends with me,
yelling.
Well, not yelling, but like I debating is my favorite thing to do. So
yeah, I need to get better at that. I have a hard time with that because I get really emotional.
Well, I mean, the key to not getting emotional about a topic is to pull yourself away from it, right? So just learn the talking points or the rationale or the logical, deductions of a position, and just learn how to articulate them and pull yourself out of it, and then just like I used to say to everybody, I could debate both sides of abortion all day. You don't have to believe in a side to debate it,
right?
So
that's a mark of a good lawyer. Actually, is being able to argue both sides.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any debate or anything where you have to present arguments of any sort, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave's talked about it plenty of times. I mean, that's how he was trained, because he was a debater in school, and that's how you're trained.
Nice.
Like you're trained. You better know your opponent's argument better than they do.
I was in
because
one
that's how
debate.
you win.
I was in one debate in school, and it was in the 6th grade, and it was a presidential debate.
Oh, me.
Talk about indoctrination. What the heck is 6th
I know.
grade? Like, I did stuff like that too, but like, what does 6th graders know about a presidential debate? Like,
Nothing.
come on.
Nothing.
And this was in Utah, so you can imagine like which letter won.
Whoa, yeah.
You're just automatically on the losing side.
I was on the D side.
Well, you know, I live in Alabama, and it's pretty diverse here. You know, there's a lot of D's, a lot of R's here.
Yeah.
I was joking. There's just a lot of R's here. Mm-hmm. Or mentally
not many D's.
confused statists who don't realize that there's no difference between the Republicans and the
There
Democrats.
goes my dirty mind again. I said not many D's in Alabama.
Not many D's at all.
No. Anyway, the one thing you said that about, you know, you hate when people call you on stuff and you know they're right, but you get humiliated. But
it's good. I mean, I recognize it as a good thing, but initially, like, it hurts my feelings.
Oh no, I know, but I wanted to build on that, because there was something Bodie was talking about the other day in a video he did, which really hit me hard, because I don't make use of this enough either. But it was just he loves. That's the way he put it. Is I love being told I'm wrong.
Yep.
And being shown I'm wrong, because that means I still have something to learn. And like, you know, I lose track of that every once in a while, and I think that's something very important for everybody to keep in mind. That, you know, being wrong is not. I mean, yeah, I'm somebody who I've been told my whole life that you just like to be right. You just like to be right. Well, number one, I think everybody likes to be right. I
strive for logical consistency.
Not too many people like to. Not too many people like to be wrong. You know, my mom is a great example. She told me that most of my life, and then at one point, you know, shortly before my kids were born, I think she turned around and told me that it wasn't so much a matter of that I always had to be right. It was the matter that she really hated when I was right, and she was just projecting otherwise.
Yeah.
But you know, but still, like, because of things like that, I lose sight of the fact that being wrong's okay, and it's not. It's beyond okay. It means that you still have something to learn. And
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, nobody should ever think they know everything about anything.
Right.
Because there's still, you know, even
forever. There's so much to learn. Like,
exactly.
That's why I think the only sane possible or sane position right now in the world is agnosticism. Just because, like, we only see the universe through what, our 5 senses or 6 senses or however many there are. No, that was the movie with what's his name?
6 Sense, yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
With the kid,
so we have
Bruce
our 5.
Really?
Isn't it Bruce Willis?
The Bama Willis, but you said Bruce Willis. I'm like, is that the Bama version? Like, I don't know.
That's his name.
You got your own set of actors down there. We can't
Roll Tide.
Well, I
mean, you're not going to get
Bruce Willis down here. We can't afford a Bruce Willis down here. We're going to get us a Bruce Willis. Close enough.
Y'all have never heard of Jackie Cha? No, I don't know. I'm totally lost now. I forgot where I was. I'm glad I made you laugh, Jeremy.
That was quick, man. That was a good one.
Oh man, I'm pretty quick when I want to be. I think we're at around 50 minutes. Let's maybe close up or end the conversation somewhere.
It's up to you guys.
If you think you can trust the cops, you can't.
Keep going on that.
I mean, obviously, you know, I mean, it's like, I mean, I definitely think that it's more of an issue for Black folks. I mean, I think that's just the truth. I mean, per capita, they definitely have more run-ins with police, and
I think it would be especially bad because all the cops tend to be white. It's just such a bad.
This guy was Asian. This guy turned out to be he's the Asian guy. You know, who knows? I mean, you know, clearly, like once he started, you know. Once he realized what he had done, you know, he was very freaked out about it. You know, God, I mean, and I don't want to empathize with him at all. But like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just like any person having done what he did, how do you live with yourself?
I mean, yeah, that's like akin to running over like a child in a neighborhood or something. Like he just blatantly murdered that guy. He may have. I mean, he overreacted. He wasn't paying attention.
Obviously.
Essentially, he was asleep at the wheel. He heard gun out of that black guy's mouth and was like, "Shit!" and pulled his gun and just fired. Yeah, so, like, I mean, I guess at this point, don't tell the cops shit. Because, I mean, if you're going to tell them that you have a gun and they're just going to pull a gun out and shoot you because they're too scared to handle the situation, then the best thing to do is not disclose that you have a weapon to the police.
Right. And I'm absolutely and utterly amazed at the composure of his girlfriend. Like, I mean, she knew that her life was potentially in danger as well, you know, and she's just like, okay, yep, my hands are right here. I'm not moving my hands, but she continued to, you know, video, I don't want to say tape or continue to like record it and was talking to the recording and saying, you know, this cop just shot my boyfriend 5 times and you know, it explained everything that was happening the whole time. And I'm blown away by that.
Yeah, I saw the video last night and it like ruined my night. I was like,
oh, well, of course. Yeah.
Wow. They literally just that cop, and you could hear the urgency in the cop's voice. You could hear that he totally screwed up. It was like somebody that saw a crash and then just sit there and was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You know, like totally, completely out of control of the situation. And, you know, they're on paper technically paid to be in control of the situation. And it seems like the two people in the car were in control of the situation, and the cop is the one that wasn't in control of the situation.
Right. Yeah. So there, you know, it's like the whole idea that, and, you know, and I said, I commented on a post earlier, you know, that where somebody else had commented and said something about, well, you know, there are good cops out there. And, you know, my point is, if there are good cops, then they need to take a stand against the bad cops. Otherwise, there are no good cops. Bottom line.
I did see there was one video that I actually saw this morning that was some female cop she was originally from Cleveland. I can't remember where she said she moved to, but she was pissed. I think her name was like Nausea Jones or something like that. I just happened to catch it because it was
Nausea.
Trending.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but she was a black woman who was like a mother of like 4 or something like that. But she went on a rampage.
Oh, good for her.
You know, I mean, she kept referring to the fact that she's one of the good ones, and there are people that she knows that are like her that really, you know, the people that when you stop with the hatred of cops as the whole, and you look at, because there are people, especially like in the smaller towns and stuff like that really do get into it because they think they're making a difference and they want to make a difference.
Well, yeah, just like
politicians.
Or even some
of the big. Well, yeah, but no, those people really want power. And there's definitely cops that want power, but I've known people. There's plenty of people that go in for the right reasons, but then they stay, and then they usually turn a blind eye, or they stand behind that thin blue line. But this woman, you know, she went on and on about, you know, I kind of put that to the side for the moment because you kind of expect that where she talks about, but she was like she called it murder.
Yeah.
She straight out called it murder, and
it was murder.
Screaming like, "How dare you? How dare you do that? How dare you disrespect what we're supposed to be doing?" And that was the first time I've seen one of them actually go off like that. Like you see ex-cops do it, but you almost never see an active duty cop who says something. Now
I wonder if that cop was cuffed right on the scene. What happened?
I highly doubt it.
No, he's been put on paid vacation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, of course they've got to figure out what happened. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. His body cam should tell the entire. His body cam footage is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Like that'll ever be released.
If it happens to exist.
Right. Exactly. Oops.
Well, please. There's been enough instances where already.
And then the other guy.
Where those cams have been conveniently turned off.
Oh yeah.
At the time, I mean, there was one cop. I think he was in San Diego, maybe. That somehow, some way, 3 separate instances in a row with him, his camera magically was turned off in all of those instances.
Well, I don't know how that happened.
Exactly. But what were you saying about the other guy, Dave?
No, and the other guy, so you see the second angle video that came out. He's just laying on the floor, like his arms aren't even moving. Like they're just standing by his side, like just not even in a strain or anything. He's just laying on the floor, and then they're like, "He's got a gun! He's got a gun!" And then they like jiggled his body and moved him around, and then they shot him twice, or 4 times, and it's just like. So all the cops have to do is pull you out of the car, say you're resisting, say you have a gun, or thought they saw a gun, and murder you. So what's to stop gang members from buying off cops? What's to stop gang members from buying off cops?
Yeah, you're talking about Alton Sterling and Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't think the gangs run Baton Rouge, you're crazy.
I don't know about all that. That one I actually hadn't followed as closely because just as I was getting ready to start looking into that one, the other one came across.
The other one
my
happened.
feed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, and Alton Sterling was guilty of selling CDs and DVDs in a parking lot. Does that sound familiar?
People still have DVD players?
I have a DVD player.
I was actually planning on buying one.
Are you a fan? Buy my CD. Buy my CD. It's like, how am I going to play it?
I have a CD player in my car. You don't have a CD
I do
player in your car,
too.
Dave?
I do.
Dave, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Dave's a young buck, but yeah, no. Unfortunately, the Alton Sterling situation is a little all too familiar because, well, just like Eric Garner, he was murdered for not hurting anybody.
Right.
You know, and it's. I mean, that one obviously the apologists are going to run to because, well, he did have a gun and he what I mean, the other guy told him he had a gun. He didn't tell him he had a gun and if he had just obeyed and followed the law, like that's what they'll fall back on. Like
of course.
That's why I think, unfortunately, it's horrible what happened to Mr. Castile. But that one, like, I don't know how people can spin that. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like, he literally did.
Yeah.
Everything he was told, and he still got shot. Like the only possible thing they could find now is the one bad apple thing, or this guy just wasn't meant to be a cop, or he wasn't cut out to be a cop. It's not all cops, but no, like because he's not. The interesting thing that he's
apparently I read something on Facebook today. I'm friends with somebody who's actually from the Minneapolis area, Minnesota, and apparently somebody that he knew actually used to work with that particular cop at a Walmart in loss prevention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say though, it's the fact that immediately people wanted to jump on the race issue, even though it turns out, of course, this particular cop was Asian of some I don't know which I don't know where he is from specifically, but there was another.
He's got an English name, like his.
I didn't even pay attention to that much. I didn't care whatsoever about the cop side of the story because I saw the video. That's all I needed to see in this one. That's why I said this is like a clear-cut case that there's no doubt whatsoever. But there was an instance like this up here in New York. I think it was earlier this year, where a cop. He was either. Mexican maybe, or I think he also might have been Asian. I don't remember, but either way, it was another one where people automatically assumed it was a white cop, but no, it was some idiot who just shouldn't have had a gun and accidentally discharged something and shot somebody.
Yeah.
in a hallway in an apartment building.
Well, I mean, and it's like like you're saying, I mean, the ethnicity doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, I recently watched Straight Outta Compton, and I was reminded that, black cops were just as racist toward, like black kids just hanging around, whatever, like in a parking lot.
It's an us versus them mentality.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cop versus the people mentality.
Yep. And that's why when people get bogged down in this race shit, I mean, is some of it racially motivated?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
But it's not a matter of it's just the white cops. No, it's all the freaking cops.
Yeah.
They're all in on it because the ones that aren't are the ones that end up getting either kicked out or leave because they can't, they're not willing to stand behind the thin blue line.
Because they're actually not sociopaths, maybe.
Yeah. Right.
The ones that get out. I mean, Dave and I have a friend who was a cop for exactly 4 months before he got so sick of what he was doing, or what they wanted him to do, that he's like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that was before he became an anarchist. So, there are people out there that actually do want to make a difference and then realize, but unfortunately, too many of them go in and usually, well, it's a steady job. Well, I'm going to get this sweet pension.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll
I just have to meet my quota.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll put up with the stuff that I'll turn a blind eye to some of this stuff, and maybe I'll speak up every now and then, but if I just plod along and do my 20, I get the gold watch and everything, and blah, it's like, fucking, you seriously, man?
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't know how people can do that.
I guess the idea is that if I wasn't doing this, someone else would be. I think that's a mental justification that they use.
Right, and I'm a good person, so I will definitely protect and serve, unlike these other people that would do it in my stead, kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're not stopping. Yeah, but the problem with that is you're not stopping anybody else from doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
And you're still going to be expected to do certain things, and just like anything else, just like with politicians, just like even the ones that just get in that tell me, oh no, I'm going to make a difference. I'm not going to be like the rest of them.
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't really have a choice.
Right.
If you want to stick around, you have to start compromising your principles.
Yeah.
And once you
They just become a cog in the wheel, essentially.
Yeah. Once you start compromising your principles, it gets so much easier to compromise them the next time, and then easier still the time after that. And then
the first murder is always the easiest, or the hardest. My bad.
Exactly. Well, the hardest. Everything always gets easier because you do it enough times, you desensitize yourself to it, and then you're just like, oh, this is the way it is. And then 10, 15 years later, you look back and go, well, if you're honest with yourself, you look back and go, wow.
Unless you're a
look
nihilist.
what I used to be, and look what I am. Well, I guess. Well, I don't know.
Or a subjective
being a
moralist.
Yeah, but being a nihilist doesn't necessarily mean you won't absolve yourself from guilt. It means you could. It doesn't necessarily mean you will.
Right.
So I don't know if that's a fair.
I figure the nihilist would look at taking another life as an indifferent thing, just like, who cares? It doesn't matter.
I don't know about
like
that.
Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Well,
the ultimate nihilist.
Shh! Don't say his name.
most nihilists I know still have their own moral code that they have created that they live by. They just don't think it should be that anybody else should live by it, so they still won't just wantonly kill anybody.
Yeah.
I guess to the extreme they could. But that's what I'm saying. I guess you could, but it's not necessarily true that that a nihilist is going to do those things, man.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a sociopathy, psychopathy thing than anything else.
Right.
And from that aspect, I would say that sociopathy can be learned essentially.
I think it can as well. It can be a trained behavior for sure.
I think you have to have a propensity for it, though.
I think given enough fear, time, and pressure, anyone can distribute what would or display what would seem psychopathic behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
That makes sense. I mean, but it obviously would go completely against their own,
moral
developed
cognition.
principles. Right.
Well, not necessarily, because self-interest. Because
survival.
Because of self-interest and survival, people are more naturally inclined to protect themselves before others. Are there people that show a propensity to be more caring about others than themselves? Sure, absolutely. But on the whole, most people instinctively think of themselves first because, well, it's a survival mechanism. So I think that I would think that that's actually why it could be learned by, like Dave was saying, by pretty much anybody.
Sorry.
We made it through almost an entire show before the pussy got crazy.
That's a good ender.
Okay, sorry.
I can never respond like that when we're on the air with the Feens. But anyway. So
she's dying to get up here.
Oh shit.
Well,
and she made it. And I was like, oh God, please don't hook your claw in my bare skin again.
Yeah. I miss my cat. I had a cat for 16 years named Bagheera. I miss him. I miss him every day.
Aww. Yeah.
I miss him.
I love mine.
Anyways.
She's 13. Her name's Henrietta.
Why don't I wait a minute? Why don't I remember that? Because I had a cat named Bagheera.
I've never told you that.
I don't remember that.
That's
weird,
a really
man.
unusual name.
No, it's from the Jungle Book.
It's from the Jungle Book.
Oh, Bagheera. Oh, okay, yeah. But
It's
still,
the Colossus
kind
of
unusual.
Clout.
That's so funny, dude. We've been friends for like almost 3 years at this point, and I never knew that.
Well, I mean, you weren't in my life as long as Bagheera was. I didn't feel like it was pertinent information for you to know. Okay, sorry.
Thanks, Dave. I thought we were closer than that, Dave. You know, the Beast Master over here. You don't share stuff like that with me, man.
I'm actually allergic to cats, man. But I guess I built up.
That I knew.
I guess I built up an immunity to Bagheera over the years, and I just don't want to go through that phase again because, man, it just wrecks me.
Get a Russian blue.
A Russian blue.
A Russian blue. That's what my cat is, and I got her specifically.
What are they, like $1,200 a piece or something?
Oh no, I adopted her.
Oh shoot!
I went online like some like pet like adoption online thing and specifically looked for Russian blue because I wanted a cat, but I knew I was allergic, and I found her. And I don't know. I mean, it could very well be the placebo effect, but I've never had an allergy toward her.
My friend's got a schnauzer, and I'm allergic to dogs and cats. And what is Gracie? I can't remember. It's a Terry Blue Terrier. And I can I can get that dog and rub it all over my face, hands, everything, no problems. So whenever I go over to his house, I spend so much time playing with the dog because I never get to play with dogs, and I love playing with dogs and cats. But it's not worth the itchy eyes and the sneezing and the headaches.
That type of fur tends to be like good for people with allergies, like any kind of like curly, kind of wiry type fur. For some reason, I'm not sure why.
I have no clue.
Yeah.
Not as much dander.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because with cats, it's the saliva that actually affects most people. With dogs, it's the dander.
Yeah.
So the wire hair dogs have less. There's the hypoallergenic dogs like the Shih Tzus and stuff. I think are all hypoallergenic. Those little Malteses, Shih Tzus. I'm not. Shih Tzus are. Malteses definitely are.
I hear the hairless cats are the hairless Egyptian
you mean
cats.
Like the Austin Powers or like
The hairless cats. I hear they're hypoallergenic.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Yes, Mr. Bigglesworth, exactly.
But you gotta like clean the shit out of the cats because they shit everywhere and then they have no fur to like displace the feces, so it's just caked on their back end. You gotta clean. They're like babies.
Ew.
So I was like, I'm not gonna look down. I'm not gonna look in that situation. I don't want another baby. I'm already a baby. I have a hard time feeding myself.
They still have the saliva.
What you eat.
I think they still have the saliva issue as well too.
Yeah, they can't. They lick you.
Yeah. So I don't know. I love animals, but those things are scary looking. They're like the Chinese crested of the cat world. Those Chinese crested dogs, those ugly looking things with big poofy hairdos. Yeah, those things are hideous.
They can be cute, but they can be hideous as well.
Yeah.
The Chinese crested.
I don't.
Ooh, there are some ugly cats out there, and then there's some that are like, "Were you bred for a princess?"
For a princess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Before we go off on an entire animal conversation, because I'll talk.
We could talk all day long. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We probably should get wrapping up. So, Diana, I'm glad we finally got you on here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun, Diana.
Dig talking to you guys.
It was very cool. You're a chill lady.
Oh, thanks. I try.
And I'm glad we finally got to do a show with Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone.
Danilo, when you listen to this, remember, when you come back, you're not allowed back unless you're on Fiend Phone. So hopefully this will be our new format for now.
Yeah, I feel like we might have to do one more Skype show, but hopefully we can move to this.
Yeah, maybe we can just do a special every once in a while. Anyway. Do you have anything else before we go, Dave?
I if you didn't know Google voluntarism, just go do it and then look around, watch content, share stuff, tell people about it. Call your family and just say, hey, have you Googled voluntarism? And then don't say anything else, because then you're going to get in an argument, and you're not going to win that argument, because statists don't think with their mind, they think with their feels. Almost every indoctrinated person does. So just give them the information, tell them to walk away. And then walk away. And that's all you got to do. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Dianna, do you have anything else before we go?
Not really. I mean, I appreciate you guys having me on again, like I said. And so listen to the Freedom Feens at freedomfeens.com or lrn.fm at the times that we, which is like 10 a.m. on Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern time. And you know how that goes, if you know time zones.
So this has been a fun conversation. This has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast. All of our information can be found at theseedsofliberty.com. We will be short Danilo again next week. So yay, more Fiend Phone. But thanks again.
Meow.
So thanks everybody for listening, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
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 Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie,